Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. First meeting of the year of the City of Sydney City Council, the greatest city in the world. And we are going to follow the Open Meetings Act. So this is all legal, and it's posted on the wall there behind the TV cameraman. And we will start with the approval of the minutes from the two meetings that we had last month, although one of them wasn't another council meeting. And we'll do those separately as to make sure this is all legal for Lori. So does anybody have any questions on the strategic plan meeting minutes or a motion to approve those?
I move.
Motion by Vonnegut, second by Buckner.
Yes, sir,
Roll call,
second.
please.
Stroman,
Yes.
Buckner,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Vonnegut.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Now for the council meeting minutes for December 12th, which, as I read through, did include my phone number of 402, or 308, I don't even know my own phone number. 308-249-2321. Anybody else see anything?
I need to make an amendment on my own minutes. I did notice that I had a date error, and so I would like to amend the date on the council minutes for December 12th, 2023.
Which date?
We have
Oh, the date where?
The,
the top
the
and then-
date's at the top,
Okay.
and
Okay, you
Yeah.
just need to have that in your minutes.
Lori is her own worst critic.
that is why I thought we needed to do them separately.
All right, does anybody have a motion to approve the amended?
I would make a motion to approve that amended minutes.
Second.
Okay. Radcliffe with the motion, Stroman with the second. Roll call, please.
Buckner,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Vonnegut,
Yes.
Stroman.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. And now for my favorite mayor activity, a proclamation.
Public
Are we just
comments,
to read
Public
it?
comment.
What's that?
Public comment.
You're too excited.
I am. I get way excited about these things. So, is there anybody here in the public that would like to make some comments? Of any kind whatsoever? Perfectly legal. I guess not. Now, to the favorite part of the meeting, the Radon Action Month proclamation. Whereas radon is a colorless, odorless, radioactive gas that may threaten the health of citizens and their families. Whereas radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the U.S. Whereas radon is the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Whereas the National Academy of Sciences estimates up to 21,000 lung cancer deaths occur in the United States each year. Whereas radon is found in 1 of 15 homes across the U.S. have elevated radon levels, whereas any home in Sydney may have elevated radon levels, even if the homes in the same neighborhood do not. Whereas testing for radon is simple and inexpensive, whereas identified radon problems can be fixed, whereas Panhandle Public Health Department and the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency are supporting efforts to encourage Americans to test their home for radon and have elevated levels of radon reduced and have new homes built with radon-resistant features. Now therefore, the mayor of the City Council of Sydney, Nebraska do hereby proclaim January 2024 as official Radon Action Month in Sydney, Nebraska, in recognition of the importance of testing homes for radon. I hereby proclaim the month of January 2024 as National Radon Month. I urge every member of the community to test their homes by contacting the Panhandle Public Health District at 308-487-3600, extension 108, to request a free radon test kit. Now, number 5, consideration of the location change for Boss City Brewing for Class LK and I liquor license. And they are here taking time off from their busy building.
Hi,
Hi.
Melissa Norgard, Stan Norgard. We're the owners of Boss City Brewing Company, and we are just looking to transfer both of our liquor licenses to our new location at 1200 Jackson Street, starting February 1st. So we're keeping everything the same. We have a Class I license and then a Class LK license for the craft brewery and the catering. So we're just looking to simply change our address.
So that you can offer more.
So we can have a much bigger space, and Stan can brew more beer.
So there are gonna be more types.
Yes, yep, we're gonna increase our tap system from 10 to 4 tap, or 14 taps.
What's the seating in there?
We're going to have seats for 130 people.
I received
You
information
have,
from the state and
some receptions and stuff in there. Big parties.
We are potentially going to have some parties. Yeah, but we're super excited. Our projected opening date is March 1st. So we're really starting to see some of the construction take form this week. We're getting the floors polished next week, so continue to see progress on that side of things. So we're just getting super excited. We are going to be open at our current location at 824 10th Avenue for some days here in January, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, for the next 3 weeks, minus the 20th for the chamber banquet to serve drinks. And then once our license transfers on February 1st, then obviously we won't be able to do that anymore until we get our doors opened at 1200 Jackson Street.
There may be a month where we can't get any.
That is correct. So get your fill now in the next 3 weeks.
That's fantastic. So you're just basically taking the license from one place to another.
Correct. Correct. And better.
Will there be a 14% beer brewed in the future?
Yes, there will.
Does the approval hinge on that?
That's it. Well,
Okay, then yes.
he got money. I'll right, let me look over here. Just asking about the menu. Just asking about the menu.
I have the good stuff. I'll second.
All right, so there was a motion by Mr. Stroman and a second by Bondergaard. Roll call, please.
Sherman,
Yes?
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Bondegaard,
Yes.
Stroman,
Yes.
Buckner.
Emphatically, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Looking
forward to it.
Thank you. Good
Yep.
luck.
Thank you.
Yep,
Need
thank
any
you.
help, call Brock.
Okay.
A historic board appointment by Mr. David Scott.
Good evening. The Historic Preservation Board is set to consist of 7 members, 3 of which are citizens interested in the history and historic preservation of Sydney, and 4 of which are real estate owners of property located within Sydney's historic and extended historic district. What we wanted to do is reappoint a current member. We did post the position for 2 or 3 consecutive weeks in the newspaper as per code, and we didn't get any new people that wanted, but lucky for us, John Phillips is wanting to be reappointed to the Historic Preservation Board for another term. It is my job as a city manager to request the reappointment, and the City Council's job to either confirm or not confirm that. John Phillips is a business owner within the extended historic district. For those of you who don't know, him and his wife, Kim Phillips, own the Fox Theater. And he's been on the board for a number of years now and is very immersed in how the processes work for that board. And I think he'd be a reappointment, so.
And so the board consists of how many members?
7 members.
And 5 of them business owners and 2 at large, is that right?
4 of them, per our statute, need to be real estate owners within the historic district or extended district, and then 3 are at large. But right now, currently, you're right, I think currently we only have 2 that are not actual business owners, so. don't know that we have one right now. I think this might fill it out.
I
We
certainly.
are looking for library board people.
Okay.
We are looking for people for the library board, though, which we've advertised recently.
Thumbs up from the back.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly have no issues with Mr. Phillips being back on the board. It sounds like a very active, caring person to put on there, so. Anybody else have anything?
I'm motion it.
Okay.
Second.
A motion from Buckner and a second from Stroman. Roll call, please.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Vonnegut?
Yes.
Stroman? Buckner?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes. Motion passes 4 and for Mr. Phillips to be back on the board. And
Perfect.
we're going to leave David Scott up there for consideration to move forward with a building or bidding process for resurfacing project for Forest 17th to 21st Streets.
Okay, and I'll give a little bit of, well, first of all, this is a straight-up resurfacing project on Forest Street from 17th to 21st on the north side. Of course, you know, whenever you remove a street surface in a city, you know, that's been around as long as Sydney has, there's going to be water line and sewer line issues as well. And so this is very similar to what we did 2 years ago on Elm Street. It will be a curb-to-curb resurfacing with sidewalks where there are already sidewalks will be redone. And then also we will redo and replace the water line underneath too, much like we did in Elm Street. Those people in that 4-block range have the best, newest water lines of anywhere in the city right now, so we hope that Forest Street will join them. As you remember, this project had been identified for I don't know how long now in our street department's 1 and 6 street plan for years, I think. It was also discussed at several city council strategic planning sessions, and it was also discussed, more importantly, at the city council's infrastructure sales tax planning session on what we were going to tell the voters if they voted for another 10 years of the infrastructure sales tax, what the city council planned to do with it. And this project was identified as one of the street projects in that additional half-cent sales tax, infrastructure sales tax. And that did go to the voters on November 22nd. The voters voted for it. The majority of voters said yes, and we liked what the council had suggested that they were going to do. And if they vote for it, we should probably continue looking into those things, right? During the last budget session, most recent action the council took was to advise city staff to seek engineering estimates, not a full cost of the project. We wouldn't know unless we put it out to bid, but we did go and we sought out MC Schaff to do the engineering of this, and on the next agenda item that's on the agenda as well, to give us some cost estimates for the surfacing portion and the water portion, and then the project as a whole. And we did get those cost estimates back in. And the engineer's construction estimate, which includes inspection. Now, the inspection, we know those costs because they're the ones that did the estimate, right? And so they said, this is what we would charge you to inspect it throughout the process of the project. So that's a constant. That would be $109,546, which I was really pleased with, since the construction estimate is $1,464,900. So that's less than 10% for inspection costs, which is really good. A project this size usually between 10 and 13, 14% somewhere, so I think they're giving us a pretty good deal on that. I did want to point out that on I think it's the second page of what I included in your meeting packet, it breaks it down for how much is the construction only for the Forest Street project and what would be the water main portion of the project. And you'll notice that the construction portion, without the inspection, but just the construction of the street surfacing curb to curb, they had estimated $1,237,400. And I did want to point out that they spent weeks, possibly, well, it was months, researching, getting cost estimates for supplies and equipment, and what they thought this whole project and every little angle of it would cost. Well, if you remember in our budget process, the street superintendent estimated this by throwing a dartboard, so to speak. But no, I shouldn't say that. I did some research too. What we have for the construction portion of this in our current budget is $1,296,500, which is literally $50,000, $60,000 off from what we'd pay an engineering firm to what Hank himself. It's just kudos to you, Hank, for getting that so close to the mark. I just wanted to point that out and give him a little kudos for that. But what we're really requesting right now is not to commit to anything. What we want to know, or what I want to know, is does council want staff to continue to put this out and see if we get favorable bids? This is only an estimate, what they think it's going to cost. Who knows what the bids will come back at? We will, if the council approves this and/or the next agenda item, one or the other, probably put these out here fairly soon. I find that you want to get them in bidders' hands in February and late January, March, when they're starting to set up their spring work. That's when they're out looking for projects. And so this would fall in that line item, or would fall in that agenda, or that timeline is what I meant to say, would fall in that timeline. So at this point, we just want to know if this is something council wants to see what they say, see what we get. I will point out, and I should mention that we think that if council does move forward and say, yeah, let's put this out to bid, we did the work on the engineering, we want to see what the bids are going to come back at. And you do put it out on the street. I did have a conversation with the engineers who are also the ones that gave us the estimate for the inspection of the project. If they would be willing to, on this project and/or the next one, depending on what the council decides to do, if they would be willing to review the bids that we receive and make a recommendation to the council, because I anticipate with a surfacing project of this nature and with the nature of the next agenda item as well, that it's very possible that we would get multiple local companies bidding on this. And when you review these bids, you review by qualifications, capabilities, and of course cost. And I thought it might be better if it didn't seem like the city staff was, or even the city council was reviewing and picking somebody that they think they would recommend the council to move forward. So that will be a little bit more unbiased, if you will, if they review these, because they're not going to look at who's a local company that knows this person or that person. They're just going to say, here's the person, the company. So anyway, I wanted to point that out. I just think it's interesting that they agreed to do that, and I'm thankful for that. So that's all I had on this one for now.
And so basically, these two projects are going to stem from the half-cent sales tax.
Yes. Oh, I should mention one thing. On the Forest Street, the next one will be 100% from the sales tax. This one is too, but not 100% from sales tax. What I want to point out, and thank you for mentioning that, I did have it in my memo, but I didn't speak to it. We will want to use some of that, of course, some of that half-cent sales tax, because we did promise we would do that, and we promised we would do it on the north side. But we also want to use a portion of our highway allocation money. A little bit of history on that. We get highway allocation money every year from the state, and with that money, we agree that we'll do a certain amount of larger projects, right, other than just, scooping snow and things like that. We have not had to do that in the last 5 or 6 years because we had so much of that infrastructure sales tax saved up from the first 10 years that we had it. We wound up doing 13th Street, and that's what we also did Elm Street on the north side with, was what we had already in reserves. But what we want to do is use a part of our highway allocation money, because since we had that previous sales tax infrastructure money, we didn't need to use any of our highway allocation money, and we haven't needed to use it for the last 5 years. And so we do need to show that and Hank can probably speak to this a little better than I can, but we do need to show that we're using that money for something more than just to make the bond payment on the link, and this would give us a chance to do that if we kind of use a little bit of both those funding sources. And that way we would also have more sales tax, infrastructure sales tax for other projects, either on the north side or somewhere else in town, because this is not anywhere near all of our infrastructure sales tax that the street department will receive over the next 10 years. We will have other things that we'll look at on our 1 and 6 and talk with the council at in workshops and budget sessions. But does that sound, what do you think? Does that sound, did I state that correctly?
Use that allocation when you can only save it so long, then you gotta use it on projects. You can save up to it's also my understanding you can use that to pay off some bond issue.
Right.
But, you can only hold it so long and then you have to, you can save up money legal to use it for projects, but only for a certain length of period of time.
Right. If,
You can't sit there for $5 million and never spend it, which we don't have that kind of money,
Right.
just for an estimate. So you do have to use it, and you can use it for bond payment, but we've been kind of saving it for some of these projects we want to do. And the sales tax thing has helped, so we didn't have to use it for all that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any of that in reserve right now. So they've explained it pretty much the way it is.
it's a good problem to have, right? It's a good problem to have. So we have multiple funding sources that we can use for this project that will not, and I want to be clear, will not in any way increase anybody's property tax because it's coming from our highway allocation and our voter-approved sales tax. So that's a bonus when we can do projects like this, and nothing will ever fall on the property taxpayers.
So basically, you want to show spend down with the highway money.
Yes, we
So
want
the
to show a
state
little bit of
says we
spend down
got
of that, because we can use it to pay, and we are using it to pay our bond payments for the Link J, which is, as those of you know, maybe Brock, you might not have been here then, was the project. The state just comes in and says, hey, you're on our agenda to be done this year. We're going to do your Link, and here's your bill. And they don't give you any option. That's just, unfortunately, that's how it works when the states come in and do your Link roads coming into your towns. They say, you're on the agenda this year to get done, and here's your 20%. And so we didn't have any option but to commit future highway allocation money to pay that, which I thought was probably better than trying to go to the property taxpayers, which we did not want to do at that time either.
Right. I
So-
agree with you. Keep the property tax where it's
Yeah.
at.
But to just use that only to make payments and not show that we're, really do anything that wasn't required of us by the state, I'd like to use some of that money for this project too, so that we are doing something more than just what the state required us to.
It is good for the city to see that as well. The people that live here see that we're taking the money, using it what we use it for, and keeping their property tax where it's at.
Yep.
How many blocks is this going to be? Is it
It's from 17th to 21st on Forest Street. And then it also, what is the one that we're going to Elm Street on? I can't think of that. It was
19th
Ni-
Avenue.
19th Avenue. It's only Forest Street between 17th and 21st, but 19th was so terrible, there was really nothing to tie it into, so we decided to do 19th all the way over to Elm as well. And that, I think, is what kept our inspection costs so low. We added that section to it. I don't think they included that when they gave us our inspection, but he knows that, and he's fine with what they quoted us. But that is a street. That's the one that goes along the side of the
By the park.
Yeah.
And we're just doing the
Yeah.
driving lanes.
Yeah, that'll just be the center lanes there. The rest is good.
But the driving lanes are, and it's by the park, and, people don't use crosswalks, so they walk across the street, and it's an easy thing.
So we're getting four blocks of curb to curb and one block of the center cut to go between Elm and Forest.
And you're also wanting that engineering company to decide which company gets the bid?
Well, they'll make a recommendation. You guys ultimately
Well,
decide.
right.
this, yeah,
They'll
right.
vet
The council will
everybody.
decide.
And then you'll bring it to us.
They'll vet it and they'll say, if everything we've looked at, we think this company is the most qualified to do this project, and then you guys will make that final decision. You can do whatever
It's
you
going to
want.
be in, hopefully, somebody local.
Yeah, I hope so. I think we're going to have multiple local, especially on the next one where it's a straightforward concrete project. But we will get out of, people from probably Scottsbluff and other places. I thought the people that did Elm Street 2 years ago did a really nice job, and I thought Eric Reichert that did 13th Street did a real nice job. And I think they're both from Nebraska, but maybe not, Sydney, but they're both from Nebraska. I know Reichert is North Platte, is that right?
No.
Scottsbluff. I'm sorry, Scottsbluff. Sorry. TV can correct me on that. So anyway.
Motion to move forward with streets on the north side?
I'd approve to bid it out.
Yeah, see what the bids come in.
Second it.
Motion by Stroman, second by Bondegar. Roll call, please.
Bondegar,
Yes.
Stroman,
Yes.
Buckner,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Radcliffe.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Yeah. And you never know where the bids are going to come in. This might be a very different conversation if they all come in really high, you know, so,
Well, I think we
Um,
just ask Hank.
yeah.
Right.
Hank will fix it, right? Are you ready for the next item?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Your,
They're kind of related. This is a multifaceted project that includes many of the items that the public voted for when they passed the additional half-cent infrastructure sales tax in the November 2022 election. What this will do is repair badly washed-out areas of parking lots at Memorial Gardens, Hillside Golf Course, and the paving, the finishing of the paving of the Aquatic Center parking lot. And I know Tom can speak to that, Memorial Gardens. That's terrible. Every time it rains, half that gravel winds up in the park and in the grass and all down the road. And it's scooping it up and putting it back is a never-ending chore. Also, it will address a stormwater concern at 14th and Jackson Street intersection. It's a very small part of the project, but it's something also that will help with a little bit of flooding control there. Most importantly, what we want to do is we want this to connect our aquatic center to the trail systems and sidewalks that adjoin neighborhoods to provide the youth a safe path to the aquatic center, Legion Park, and other city amenities without having to go out on the streets. This is something that I don't know. I know council members have gotten calls from parents on. I know I have gotten calls from many parents on that the city needs to make this a priority because we have kids going out on busy streets to get to our pool and to our park because there's no connection to the trails. When we moved the pool from where it used to be, probably 8 years ago, however long ago we built that pool, we moved it, but it did not connect to anything then, and so now we have kids going out on the busy streets, and I for one would be really excited to fix that. So. This project was also identified in the City Council's infrastructure sales tax planning session, and it was also talked about in budget sessions and other numerous council meetings and work sessions, and voted on by the voters in the November 22 election. When we gave them, honestly, I think it was right on the ballot, we said what we were going to be doing with these things. We said that we were going to collect a certain percentage of this for certain different projects, a portion of it for park, portion of it for Aquatic Center, portion of it for largest portion for street. Of course, 50% of that's going to street. So in your packet, what you have is, again, just an engineering estimate of what these projects, to do all these projects will cost. And what they've come in with is, for the engineering estimate of construction is 1.2 million, and then the total cost with the inspection is 1.3 something. And this one, we do have some sales tax, like we've said, in the streets departments that's been saved up that we'd like to use for streets on the north side and not sidewalks, going along parks. So way we have this is we would do what we've done in the past. 10 years ago when they passed this, they bonded. That's how they built the pool. They issued a bond and paid for it and then used the sales tax to pay it back. That's what we're kind of wanting to do this time. And so I did reach out to D.A. Davidson, the city's bonding firm, and asked Paul Donna to put something together for us that would show us, because I wanted to make sure that at least with the early estimates that we have, that we would have enough sales tax to pay for this. Because again, we do not want to put this on the property tax. We wanted to make sure we had enough, and I told him I wanted to make sure all facets of this would have enough property or enough sales tax to pay for it over the life of the bond, which would be a 10-year bond, because the projects, you have to go back to the voters every 10 years for your infrastructure sales tax. But one thing I did have, and we looked at this a while back, and I brought it back in here. I know I'm not like an arts crafts person, so it's not the fanciest chart, but I did have this. Is it on the table? I don't have the parking lots on here because I have to get away from my microphone now. I don't have the other parking lots on here because, well, I mean, they're parking lots, right? And I want to be clear also that we would finish, because there is a small section of Memorial Gardens that's already paved. That's correct, right, Tom? And there's a small section of the pool. So we're basically completing those. And at Hillside Golf Course, projections do not show that we would have enough sales tax to do the entire parking lot. So we would do about 2/3 of it. What we would leave is the far end, where generally people park over there only during a large, maybe rent out event for a wedding or something, or maybe a large golf tournament. But we would not collect enough to do that full parking lot. But what we wanted to show for the trails is here's what we're wanting to do for safety purposes and to get everything connected. The blue is what we already have in trails. The red is what we're adding. Here's the pool. And you see it was isolated without the red. What we'll do is we'll take this around Ball Field 4 and connect it into the trail system here. And then we'll connect this over to here so that people can get all the way up to Lodgepole Creek Apartments and in Prairie Winds where we're getting ready to build new houses up there, so that will be connected as well. And then we want to do this little stretch here too. For whatever reason, the sidewalk along Toledo ends right there at that new basketball court, the Hartzler Memorial Basketball Court, so kids go out into the street then. So we'll connect that in, connect that area in, and then wisely at this last meeting, that's why it's just drawn in, Councilman Radcliffe had said, well, this is really close to this Deaver Street where there's tons of houses with kids. And so very smart, Bert, thank you for mentioning that. So we are going to bring that over here and connect that neighborhood in as well. That's why it wasn't on the original map, because Bert had suggested we do that. It was a very small addition, and it would connect, I don't know how many. You live in that neighborhood. There are a ton of kids in that neighborhood. So anyway, that's kind of where we're wanting to do with all the trails and sidewalks. I think it's going to be much safer for kids. It's something that I know many parents have come to me about. But I know there's probably questions about this and how it will work, especially since there's a possible bond included. So I'd be happy to ask or answer any questions.
So basically, this is the second 10-year period of the half-cent sales tax to improve our infrastructure that the voters voted for. And in the first 10 years, we did bond some of it, and we did use some of it to pay for it. And we're essentially going to start out basically the same way we did before, only we're getting sidewalks and streets instead of a pool.
Yeah, I mean, almost, it's somewhat identical, really. In 2012 was when the voters passed the first additional half-cent sales tax, and they had a very similar departments. A portion of it, well, 50% went to streets for sure, and then a percentage of it went to park, a percentage of it went to golf, a percentage of it went to aquatic center, and a percentage of it went to storm drains, which we did the Jesua project with. And what we did at that point, or I wasn't here, but I guess what previous councils did at that point, was they did bond because they wanted to do the pool right away. They had promised the voters a new pool, and they didn't want to wait 10 years to give it to them. So they had done the pool right away and bonded for that. And the street money, they did not. They kind of saved some of that. That's what allowed us to be in such a good spot here, is because they did that. They also bonded for I think at that time there was a percentage of it to the golf course for irrigation, and they bonded for that and the pool. And so they've been using all that sales tax over the last 10 years to make those bond payments. And essentially that's what we will be doing here. The only difference this time around is we're not building a multi-million-dollar pool, right? We're fixing a parking lot and connecting. So we will not use nearly what we collect in the 10 years. We will still be able to do other projects, other improvements at the pool. It has been there for a while, and Tom can attest to some of the moving parts that a lazy river, I love lazy rivers, but man, they got a lot of moving parts that you need to repair all the time. So there are going to be some other improvements that we'll need to do at that pool over the next 10 years, and this will allow us to do this and that. And also the parks, this will not exhaust anywhere near 10 years worth of their projects. I know the council had also talked about maybe doing some work on the North Side Park. and some other things in our parks with this. It will exhaust, however, 100% of the next 10-year, I think it's 5% that went to the golf department. It will exhaust all of that to do this parking lot. So that part will be done, much like we did last time with the pool and golf. We used it all right away, but it will not use the 100% of the other pools of infrastructure sales tax money. So that's a little history of how we started and how we got here.
So do you anticipate if we send this out for bids, do you anticipate asking for just a total, or do you want bids broken down? So if you want to select some and not others, that we can do that?
That's a really good question. Obviously, for the first one we talked about, forestry, we want the whole project, right? For this one, we do have it broken down, and we have to have it broken down. When the voters pass certain percentages of money to go to certain things, like this percentage goes for only parks, this percentage goes for only streets. So when we bid that out, we will have to break that out because we need to go what goes to each pocket of money. And I think sometimes that's where it's hard to explain to people and to the public that when you get a certain amount of money, especially when the voters are telling you this is what we want it for, we couldn't take a portion of the parks money and say, hey, we got a lot of parks money here, but we're running low on street. We'll just build a street with parks money. We can't do that. So, yeah, we will have that where they'll have to bid each portion of it. Their bid will have to show what is allocated to each one.
And I guess another point on the sales tax is, so this is the amount of money that we project we're gonna end up with in 10 years is based off of our current sales tax.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be more than that, right?
Yeah, with maybe the Sentinel project.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping then we could do more stuff down the road, but, yeah, this is just a very modest projection of what our future sales tax would be. We did not, we kept it very, very low. I think we had like a 2% increase from year, which we're currently, the last few years, been going way over that for increase in sales tax year over year.
So where did we end up with at the end of the first 10-year period of sales tax in the half-cent?
Oh, God. I don't know if I know the total on that. I'm sorry.
What was it as close as Hank's projection?
I'm sure Hank could spit out a number that would be within a tenth of.
But there's also obvious potential of more sales tax.
Oh, yes.
And then
Yes.
more project if there is
Oh,
more
yes.
money than we projected at the end of the years.
Yes. We've been very conservative in our projections. And the bond council requires us to be very conservative in our projections because he wants to make sure that we're going to have enough money to make the payments too, so.
Okay.
Can I ask a couple more?
Sure.
So specifically on the golf course and the Memorial Gardens, have we considered asphalt at all or any other alternative surface?
Well, we did
He's shaking his head.
Yeah, Hank doesn't like that. Well, yeah, I mean, you see what happened when we did millings at the golf course the last time. That's why you can lose a bumper in some of those holes up there because it's got such a slope to it up there that I mean, Hank can probably speak to this better than I can. I know that was probably not done.
Are you gonna regrade that also?
There'll be a slight regrade. They will do some dirt work.
Yeah, will you regrade it?
It's included in the engineering plans to try to make it a little bit slower of a incline going out, yeah. That is in the plans. That's a good question.
There's pros and cons both ways. The concrete is gonna last you a lot longer, there's less maintenance, you keep it sealed with crack sealant, it'll last you for years. The problem with asphalt, especially on hot days, and you've seen it in parking lots, and I don't care what parking lot you or Walmart or we're at, you see where cars stop and then they turn, because when the vehicle's parking, it's turning its wheels without moving, and it will tear that asphalt, and you pretty soon you'll see dips where you stop to go in, pretty soon now you got a dip, you got the asphalt raised here, you got a dip, it's back here, and that's gonna happen anytime you have an asphalt parking lot, it's not gonna last long, there's more maintenance to it. It's pretty close anymore, the price of oil and stuff in concrete. It's not that much difference in price. And the concrete's a better product, it's gonna last longer. Now, if we're doing a highway, that's a different story. You know, I don't have a problem with that, but I hate asphalt in parking lots because it just doesn't last. And it's concrete to do you a lot better service.
You can probably actually see the evidence of that in, not where the general public parks, but where the staff at Hillside Park, day in and day out, it's all tore up right there. And then also going right down into the under garage underneath there where they store the cart, where people always park right there. You can see it's all completely tore up where, I think so, I
bad
mean,
shape.
it is where Hank's right, where people park and turn their wheels to go in and out. It does do that.
Yeah, this is my personal opinion. I mean, you just look at that number and you go, man, it's a lot. Is it a nice to have? I don't know. Is it a must have? That's where I'm like,
Yeah.
throw this out there too. I think I play a lot of golf. I play a lot of ball around, and I'm thinking, where else has paved parking lot? And there aren't many.
No?
Most people deal with dirt parking lots. So I'm
Yep.
certainly not against putting this out to bid. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just, it's something to consider.
Yeah, if they come back, it could be a very different story if they don't come back favorable. But if we didn't, the money would have to be spent on something up there, whether it's that or something different. But and I get the impression that that's what most people want up there, unless they want something different, like a new clubhouse or something like that. But I don't.
And I think it's also fair to point out that bonding, or when we bond, we have an A+ rating from a financial standpoint because of the fact that we don't bond everything and we plan out and we don't spend our money. I believe we went from 36 million to 22 million in debt.
It's right around there. It's low 20s. I don't know the exact number, but yeah, we've paid off over 10 million in the last 6 years, and we've done that because we haven't added any new property tax bonds, other than the one that we did for the Link J, but that's not backed by property tax. That's backed by our highway allocation money. So, I mean, we want to lower it, not raise it, right? So, and honestly, that's probably why we have the A+ bond rating, is because our debt is going the right direction, right? So that bonding agency, or they look at that when they give you a rating, and we've done very well. It also helps you a little bit with interest rates, even though I will say this is 5%, which is a little high for me, and I don't like that. I'm hopeful that before the project would get started, if we get to that point, that it would be lower by then. I know that it is starting to go down a little bit now, but they had to put this at what it is right now, which is 5%. So.
Do you have any, are you going to put in the bid request for when we would want this done by? Or?
Yeah, we'll want, the reason, and that's a good question as well, the reason we're wanting to put both of these out on the street at the same time is because I think we'll get better bids. One company might bid on both, and while they're hauling concrete, they can do it for a street project and say, well, we'll go put in a bunch of parking lots and trails too, and we can bid lower by doing that. Anytime, and I mean, Hank will tell you this too, I mean, anytime you do a project, especially if you were going to do what we're doing, 4 blocks of street, if you try to do 1 block at a time for 4 years, you're going to pay way more, because every time they do that 1 block, they got to bring all their equipment in, take it all out. It's much cheaper to do a whole bunch at once. And so that was kind of the thinking when we put both these projects out to bid at the same time, was we would maybe get more favorable bids if we did so.
So when you talk about those future projects like the park on the north side with the extra funds, when do you, or when would you anticipate using those funds, addressing that issue?
Well, we can address that, I mean, however soon or whenever the council chooses to. I know we discussed it a little bit in our last strategic planning session, so it's definitely on the radar and it's on the plan, and we will be revisiting that every 3 months. And so, yeah, I mean, we can talk.
Budget this year, right? But but it could be next year.
It could be, we did not budget for it, but if we keep talking about it in quarterly, or if you guys keep talking about it in quarterly strategic planning sessions, and we get close to the budget, and you say, yeah, we've talked about this enough, we want this in our next year's budget, Dave, then I will do a, we'll do that. We'll go out and see what we can get for what we have on that side of the coin as well. I really like that project as well, by the way.
Yeah,
North
me
Park
too.
is, I'm a big fan of redoing that park over there.
Yeah,
It'll have a new street next to it, so.
right, and the way you're opening up with the path and stuff, I think it just shows inclusion for that side of town. I think when we talk about the safety of the kids, giving them a park that is equal in nature to the one we have on the south side
Yes.
here. And it would be a nice beautification piece for the community on that side.
They need something for their children to
They
be
need
proud of
something,
too. Yep.
Exactly. As well as, future events and stuff that we
yeah.
discuss, just showing them that we can do things on the south side and we can hold some things on the north side, and that Sydney is one big city.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that we're starting the beginning of the year with Hank and his guys addressing those street issues and stuff. So I was just wondering, like you said, when the next time we speak and we talk with the extra funds and stuff like that, when we could possibly address some of that stuff.
And we'll know, I would probably, and it'd just be my suggestion, the council everything is up to you guys, but I would suggest we at least get actual bids for this one, so we know how much we have left before we
Yes.
start,
That's what I was going to ask you.
But, yeah,
Yeah,
then we'll have a really clear idea of what we'll have left over the next 10 years, because we'll know what this number is, or whether we're even going to do it or not, so.
right. Because everybody's participating in that half-cent tax deal, and it'd be nice for them to see that as
Correct.
they're paying and putting into it,
Correct.
they're getting the use of the funds as well.
And let me add, one of the things I love so much about projects for sales tax, first one, it doesn't raise property tax, right? But we get, and I know everybody in the city pays such, I pay it, you pay it, everybody pays it, but I think a really large portion of what we get in sales tax is probably people coming through and stopping on our interstate and shopping, eating, getting gas. Why would, I love it that they're helping us pay for, they're using our infrastructure, why wouldn't they be paying for it, right?
Exactly, yeah.
I've said this before, and I just want to be on the record again, that just because we would do this and provide kids a way not to walk on that road, does not mean that kids will not walk on that road.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Kids will choose.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can't keep an eye on them all the time, can you?
Shortcuts and,
That would be a pretty nice looking piece of trail back behind that ball field floor, though. I think people will actually stop there and watch ball games while they're walking on that thing. And
Yeah, I guess that's another thing to point out. You can get from the soccer fields all the way over to the fairgrounds without crossing a major street. You gotta
Yeah.
cross like 2 gravel roads and a entrance to the park.
yeah, that's it.
all you gotta do to get through town on that. And we're just gonna help bring a few more areas into that trail system, so.
I know trails and connecting them ever since I've been working in the city has been a priority of this council and previous councils. I've always talked about that, so.
we're getting it done.
Another reason why we're going with the Safe Streets for All route, right? So we can do even more.
That's it.
Other questions, comments? Wanna make a motion to seek a bid for this as
I'll
well?
I'll make a motion that we proceed to get bids for the projects presented.
I will second it.
All right. Motion by Radcliffe, second by Buckner. Roll call, please.
Stroman,
Yes.
Buckner,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Wondegard.
Yes.
And once again, we'll have them probably recommend, because there could be a good chance that we'll have the same company bid on a lot of these, so.
All right, well, up next is the guy responsible for getting the snow off all these trails we're building.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City staff, Tom Von Segren, Park Superintendent, Swimming Pool and Cemetery. On behalf of the City Park staff, we're looking to take action to remove the large population of wild geese congregating on Legion Park Pond. In 2007, City of Sydney, along with Cabela's and private donations, designed and built the new Legion Park fishing pond located near the playground in Legion Park. This past summer, City Parks experienced a mass fish die-off in the city pond. And this was not the first summer that it happened. With the assistance of Nebraska Game and Parks, they came down from Alliance. It was determined that a period of cloudy days led to the fish being starved for oxygen. Large flocks of geese use the open water of the pond in the winter. They leave behind an excessive buildup of nitrogen and other nutrients. These nutrients deposited by the large number of waterfowl allow the fast growth of algae. When we get extended cloud cover, we get 2 or 3 days of cloud cover, then the algae dies back. And as that algae decays, that decay process then uses up the oxygen and the levels plummet in the water. Then the pond fish suffocate for lack of oxygen. Additionally, we told Game and Parks official we're finding dead wild geese around the pond, probably 6 or 7 this fall and winter, and on the ice. They are concerned that bird flu continues in the region, so keeping the birds from congregating on the ice would help keep bird flu from spreading in the flocks. The birds are attracted to our pond because we have open water due to the fountain and the aeration, so it's open all the time. It gets smaller and smaller, and they have to congregate tighter and tighter, and we get more of a mess on the ice. They leave their manure behind, and the ice melts, and it all goes to the bottom, and it influences the algae growth in the summertime. City Parks recommends removing the extensive numbers of geese with handheld pyrotechnics. This was a small pistol, plastic pistol that shoots caps. One they describe as a whiz bang, and the other capsule is just a loud firecracker, if you will. So that's what the pyrotechnics are. And this was recommended and provided by the Nebraska Game and Parks. They were down last week and showed us this product. South Platte NRD can help us acquire more. This was just a sample, so we know what we're dealing with. We're looking for council permission to use the loud noisemakers within the Legion Park to help keep geese off the pond, trails, and off the baseball fields. I'm including the baseball fields because they're eating it down to nothing, and we work hard all summer long to keep nice fields, and we get hundreds of geese out on Legion Field. The product recommended by Nebraska Game and Parks hazes the geese out of the pond and off the park's trails and ball fields. The timing would occasionally be during the day to disperse the flocks, but generally the Parks Department would apply the loud noises to keep the geese away when they try to land and roost on the pond at sunset. So we'll change staffing hours so that somebody can come in and do this quickly and get out of there. They thought, I said, well, is one shot going to do it or what? And they said, as you get started, it might take six rounds of that popping noise to chase them off of there. But once they learn that we're doing that, then we shouldn't have to do it every sunset, every night. But we will to start with, and so I'm bringing this out in the public so that neighbors there, what's going on? We got an active shooter of squirrels or something. So that's my reason for bringing it in front of council. It's a management tool we'd like to adapt or use.
So this won't make them pick up and move away. It'll just keep them from congregating on the lake.
Right. They can go find other open water somewhere else. If we're pestering them, then that's enough to do. We're not going to hurt them. They're just going to go elsewhere. They're not nesting here, so we're not interrupting any life cycle or anything. It's going to be a loud bang that I wanted neighbors around the park to know was happening, what was happening there. So
You don't want to do it with blinders.
I've had questions about that all day. I sound like we can make money from it, so yeah.
Sounds like a small ordinance change.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe a large ordinance change. Yeah. All of a sudden, we got, Joe has an opinion on
Yeah, Joe shaking his
it.
head.
Yeah, it's not so fast.
He wants me to just be quiet, so, keep going.
Additionally, two other things they mentioned was having domestic geese there, which somebody dropped off. We've got 4 of them now. They call in the geese, and that's not helping anything, so we're asking the public no more drop-offs of waterfowl, ducks, or geese. And we're asking folks that's already on the rules sign around the pond not to feed the waterfowl, the geese around there, because it was designed for kids for fishing. So I understand there's going to be people that come out every day and do that, but we're promoting not to, and it's on the rules sign. So
We were thinking originally we'll probably have to do it 2 or 3 nights in a row, and then maybe,
there you go. That's what I'm hoping in a few days they know up. That's not the place to be. So yeah, and we might have to do it during the day because they leave the pool water and then they land over on Legion, and we'll scare them out of there a few times, and hopefully that'll take care of that. So all right.
This bank are fun too, if you've ever shot 'em.
really, so you're looking for volunteers?
Yeah, may not have to use
I'll take a
staff. We might
shift.
have volunteers do it.
I just make peanuts doing that, I could certainly help. Got some overtime over there. Well, basically, you're just telling us, this is
Yeah.
just a warning.
Yeah,
You don't need to vote on it or anything.
yeah.
Just be aware of,
What we're up
loose
to there.
banging and
Pop, pop, pop.
popping noises at the pond.
Are you gonna publish the days
I hadn't gotten.
What a surprise.
Yeah, I don't want them to know ahead of time.
Keep Joe busy.
So,
We'll also send a memo to communications.
Yeah, that's the column center.
The noise, they'll be able to address it.
there. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, yeah. So, all right, thank you.
We have been warned.
No, I don't think so.
All right, so, need, claims for December are done by Mr. Bondergaard.
They look pretty good. Everything was checked out.
Yeah. Any,
I'll
motion
move.
to approve the monthly checkup of Lori?
I'll move.
Motion by Bondergaard.
Second.
Oh, second by Radcliffe, sorry, Paul. Bondergaard with the motion, Radcliffe the second. Roll call, please.
Buckner,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Bondegaard,
Yes.
Stroman.
Motion passes 5-0, and now, the moment the entire city of Sydney has been waiting for, Kagan Carwin's first budget report of the year.
Mathematically, yes. Good, good evening, council. I just want you guys to know, I calculated how many kids are just on our street, and there's like 15. And that's on Shelby, so. Pending my memory serves me right. All right, financials. This month is pretty cut and dry, that it was very flat to year over year in all categories. There was just a couple of standout things that you'll notice here. As we break it down, property tax and DMV was 1.8. But year to date, we are about 34,000 over what LY is, so we're definitely seeing some positives there within the payments and whatnot. Sales and occupation tax up 10.6K from LY. For fees for service, we're seeing some big growth there, but that's coming from a debit from last year that actually was taken back out. So if we look at year over year numbers and just compare taking that out, it's very flat. So no real necessary, no big growth there. It's in line with previous years. So Again, state, federal, county reimbursement type stuff here within the transit department, getting $30K back from the state on what they're doing. And then the franchise and admin fees, we had those billed out in last month, whereas this year they'll take place now. So we'll see those come in for January. So those numbers will turn back around. And then when we look in the other category, we see the big growth there, and that's just mainly from the closing of the 13th Avenue building. So nothing real massive there. Everything lays out flat. Looking at the breakdown on revenue and expenditures for December, kudos to each of the departments and department heads for staying within budgets and continuing to find areas of revenue and growth. So as we see, street, electric, water, sewer, landfill, they are all positive. So kudos to those guys for all their hard work and efforts in there. But as we look down at the overall level in general fund, again, back to those admin and franchise fees that did not take place will take place. We'll see those numbers turn around at the end. And then for street, it's mainly coming in from motor vehicle sales tax and interest. You'll see that interest is a commonality across all of these, that obviously interest rates have been very good for us over the last year. So we're seeing the wins there. Electric being positive, the biggest amount, that 203, that's going to be from just some miscellaneous sales that they've had take place with some of the equipment that they're selling off to other communities as we upgrade our electrical across the town. So water is showing a bigger positive. We did get an insurance check, which is amounting to some of that. But taking that out, they're still, 41,000 positive. Down to sewer, up 46K again. Interest is the culprit here, and then them minimizing their expenses over LY. And then landfill, up 62. Their scale house and waste pickups are both positive. And their biggest part is they're down 16,000 year over year in the month of December for expenses. So. Any questions? Wow, perfect. Well, if you ever do have questions, feel free to stop by. Door's always open.
That's awesome. Well,
What's your number?
Well, let's see, 308-254-5300, extension 18. There you go.
Oh, you're not going to give your cell phone out?
No. I like my sleep, except for when my kids wake me up, they decide to change that, but.
Awesome. Well, I guess we're going to continue to be nice to you for maybe another week or two.
Well.
See.
I appreciate it, it's kind of nice.
Motion to approve David's report. Motion by Stroman,
I'll second.
second by Londegaard. Roll call, please.
Sherman?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Bungard?
Yes.
Stroman?
Yes.
Buckner?
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Nice job. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, city manager's report.
I don't have a whole lot to report going. There are a few upcoming things I want to remind the council of. There is the employee appreciation banquet is January 12th at 5. I think most of you have already responded to that. That's this Friday. The chamber banquet, January 20th. Also, social hour, I should say, social hour starts at 5, and then dinner at 6. And I think most of you have replied one way or the other to that. And then there should be a letter in your mailbox, if you might want to grab that if Laura didn't put it at your seats, that the volunteer firefighters banquet is January 27th, and that will be at the Elks Building, and it will also be social hour at 5 p.m. So anybody wanting to attend that, I know you went to that last year, Brad. So, but they did it at Dudes, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was at Dudes.
So,
And,
but they're doing it at Elks, so we must be anticipating a bigger crowd this year. So.
a lot of fine folks definitely needs celebrated there.
Oh, yes, first responders. So I wanted to make sure that you knew that was in your mailbox if you wanted to attend that. And that's really all I had for upcoming events, so.
All right. We'll just move right to J.
Nothing to report. Clicking along.
That's right. Lori, what would you like to say?
Nothing?
Nothing. All right. Well, I know I'm gonna get something here. Hank?
Okay.
Careful.
There's nothing really pressing on the street as long as it don't snow or things have been going pretty smoothly. And 2 new employees are so far working out pretty good, learning. On a personal note though, I see where Councilman Radcliffe and Buckner are up for reelection, and I encourage them to run again and hope they do. And Councilman Stroman is going to be throwing his hat in on the state level, running for senator, and I wish you luck. I'm glad that you guys serve, and it helps give the public a choice, the people a choice, and I think that's great. And I thank all you guys for your service, and hope you continue.
That was very nice of you, Hank.
Thank you.
Sit.
Autumn? Not gonna break your streak yet? Marshall?
Good.
No?
I'm good.
Hagan?
Your YouTube rates are good this go around. Good job to you guys. YouTube, good.
What does that mean?
You're doing good. There's like 22 views.
22?
22.
Was it 16 last month,
Yeah.
right?
We're attracting TV now.
Pretty
Yeah.
pop, well, I mean, we got a TV station here, I mean, people are catching on to how cool Sydney is.
Pending there's no technical difficulties, you know.
Yeah?
I'm gonna say, I haven't made an error twice.
If you don't mention it, it didn't happen. Amanda?
I always have something to say, so. So, for the library, story time is starting again tomorrow. The first one's at 10:15, second one's 11:15. Our winter reading program is going now until March. It's for adults and teens. So you get 1 entry for a prize for every book you read, and if you read 1 book from all 10 categories, you're entered for the grand prize, which is a $50 Chamber Bucks gift card. So, we had a new employee start yesterday, and her name is Naomi. She's doing great so far. And Bookmobile is still in the shop. So it is only strengthening the case for why I would really, really like to get a new one. So we will be fundraising. We've begun fundraising for a new Bookmobile, and you're going to be hearing a whole lot more about that repeatedly from me for a long time.
Tom?
City parks, every January, we go around and prune the alleys, so utility trucks can get through. And so we're gonna start that January 16th roughly, and do it for a month, get the alleys opened up. I say that in that, we also sent out notification, social media and radio and newspaper, I think, on, homeowners have a couple weeks here that they can do it themselves if they wish. But starting the 16th, we'll take it from there, and they need to follow the guidelines we put out for that if they do it themselves. And we have a few that do that, and they do a good job.
Chief?
Nothing to
All right. Well, technically, no? Okay.
Are you looking at me?
Yeah. I was gonna say, legally, she gets to speak, right?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway, if you'd like to say something, this is your time in case I'm not supposed to let you talk.
Well, if you don't already follow the city page and the economic development page, please follow that. We give updates as quick as possible. And also, we always share the link to these meetings. So if you can't make it, the link will always be available on that page before the meeting, so you can click on it and watch it live.
Fantastic.
No?
Beauregard?
I've got nothing.
Right over to this side of the table. Paul?
Yes, sir.
I heard a rumor.
I can't count.
No comment? Currently? Well, we still love you.
else.
Brock, it's your turn.
Well, first one of the year, first meeting of the year. I just want to say I'm glad to hear that we're adjusting the infrastructure in our city, particularly the north side. I appreciate that the city manager is ensuring that we stay the course on the things that have been discussed in the budget sessions. I think that it's important because it allows the city to begin to see their dollars at work, not just us talking about it, but actually bringing those things to fruition, seeing their neighborhoods and streets begin to be addressed. I want to thank David for being fiscally responsible with the financials of the city and the street department for doing their due diligence and making sure that we get the good bids and we pay what is a good market value to do these projects. That's what I got down here. The banquets, I think we need to support those. I'm sure we do, but just get it out to. It's an opportunity for us to recognize our employees, the individuals to help make our city run. It's a time to come together, relax, let our hair down a little bit, just show some of the love and appreciation in a comfortable setting all at the same time. I think that we are continuing to show that Sidney is on the right path as far as continuing to forge our identity, continuing to show that this council is definitely having the same mindset of continuing to improve our city, to continue to make our city some place to want to do business, continuing to, as David said earlier, those people that's starting on I-80 and stopping off, not only do we show them this is a good place to stop as you're either coming or going out of our state, but keep stopping back, keep being your truck stop place, keep being somebody that's willing to come here and use the hotels and continue to spend your dollars here. So I think this year, I think we're going to really see our tax dollars and our council and our city employees at work, and hopefully that appreciation just continues through December, and the city itself, both those that agree with what we're doing and even those that don't agree, won't be able to deny the fact that we're putting Sidney first, and we're taking care of our employees, and then we're taking care of our city as well. So again, I just want to show the appreciation to our city manager for what he's doing. I appreciate that he was able to explain everything clearly to us as well as the people that's watching and listening. And I want to thank Hank and his team, and as well as everybody else that are putting in to help Sidney continue to forge his new identity. So. That's all I got.
Perfect. All right, well, I'll just keep it short and sweet, I promise. Brock alluded to the people stopping here into town, and I don't go a week without meeting somebody that is either downtown or at the interstate that has stopped here. And I just recently spoke to a couple that makes a point to stop here on their way through. They have family in Colorado, they live in Missouri, and they come through here, and they stop in Sidney every time, and they work it out so that they're here. Because this is a great place to be. Some would say the greatest city in the world. And to that point, when they're here, we very rarely hear stories, anything other than everybody was great, they helped me do this, they helped me find this, they took me here. So it's always great to hear. Even kids in Georgia are excited about being in our town, and I apologize for not having an update on Thomas's project, but the last I talked to him, he was working on a blog, travel blog for the city of Sidney. So I promise next council meeting to get you an update on what he's up to. For anybody that took part in any of the Christmas activities around town, I think we got real close to making a Hallmark movie this Christmas. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
The lights downtown, the lights at the fairgrounds, the lights that the city did, the amazing chili that was available for you on December 5th at the after the parade was fantastic. And you know what went on downtown with the parade, I think, is a marvelous example of what the city employees are all about. For those of you that don't know, it almost didn't happen this year, and they got together and they said, we can't let it not happen, and they made it happen. And anybody that saw the parade or went downtown or sat on Santa's lap had a fantastic evening, and it was just, you know, it was pretty special. With that,
I got one more thing. When you're done, I got one.
you have to go first because I have to finish. I can't let you finish.
Okay, you want me to say something about that? One thing I forgot to mention. There are so many, since I've been on the board or the council, there's so many different boards and community, I don't know the word I'm looking for. Organizations, yeah, that you can take part in. They are, since I've been more visible, they have really stepped it up with bringing in their taste and touch of Sidney. One of the things that obviously that I'm biased to is what KSB is doing with the poetry open mic thing. And I've had the benefit of attending 2 of them, and it's starting to catch fire. It's allowing people in the city to show their talents, to turn back the clock a little bit on some things that they used to do when they were younger, and to come out and wherever they're holding it at. It's been at Beans and Steams the last 2 times. Excellent place to sit, and it gives you that coffee house feel. I think this time they're partnering with Jimmy L's Barbecue, and so it's beginning to really take shape and make its rounds at different places, allowing the people of Sidney to come together. And I mean, it's really a good time, you know. So if there's something that you're seeking to do now that the holidays are over, find out what these different organizations are doing. You know, the Chamber of Commerce has many things that they have going on. Just open up the paper, you know, listen to the radio, and get out of the house, even when it's cold, and sit and enjoy the company of others, somebody you haven't met or somebody you do know. And I think that's what makes Sidney a little different, is that we're addressing that need, if you want to call it a need. I think we are really moving in a direction to make sure that this city is providing the people that live here things to do other than the norm stuff that we have, like Gold Rush days and the fair and stuff like that. We are really seeking, these organizations are really seeking ways to draw the people of Sidney together, no matter where you live or what you think or how you believe things should be run, and enjoy ourselves outside of sometimes the political things that divide us. So I forgot to mention that, and if I didn't, at least I have a KSB executive director at home that would have definitely got me. So got it done, wife.
Well, again, we could go on, but get involved. Whether it's just something, you know, you can go to a fundraiser and eat, you get supper and you get to help out your community, volunteer at a ton of these charities, and things in town. And March 1st, you can also get involved. Before March 1st, you have to put in your application to get involved in potentially city council or any of the open spots that will be in the election this year. Who knows, you could end up being mayor if you want to. And 2 last plugs. The Elks is doing their hoop shoot Sunday at 1. We'll be open for registration at 11:30. If your child is 8 from after April 1st, 2023, and won't be 13 until after April 1st, they can come shoot hoops and win some prizes and show off their basketball skills. And another like the open mic night. You have an event, you keep doing it, you keep pouring your heart into it, it continues to get better. Anybody that was at Gold Rush Days last summer was pretty amazing. It took a huge leap from the year before to this year. They're having a meeting on the 11th to talk about what they're going to do this year. There's going to be a poker tournament, from what I understand, in this whole thing as well. So any of these things, if you need help finding a place to get involved or do something, please feel free to call me at 249-2321. I will assist you, partner you up with a organization that can use the help. But everybody, in my opinion, has 4 hours a month that they can give away, whether it's 1 hour at a time, a half hour at a time, or 4 hours in one day. Just set a goal, find a place to help and help. And with that, we will end this meeting at 6:51. Thank you.